Hey guys, Vas here from Aussie Playground and welcome to another unboxing. Today we're going to be looking at a new short-course truck. This is the Tao Hobbies CUTBACK, but as you can see by the plain white box sitting on my bench, CUTBACK is not just the name of the truck, but apparently what they did to the budget of the marketing department. They really didn't spend a lot of time or money on the print of the box. It simply says the alloy force, which I'm assuming has something to do with the manufacturer that actually made this truck for Tao Hobbies. To me, I actually don't really mind. I applaud Tao Hobbies for not wasting time nor money on fancy prints on the box, because let's face it, what really matters is what's inside the box, not so much the box itself. So for something that really doesn't have anything on it, I'm wasting too much time on it already. So let's look at the truck and talk about what you actually get in the box, which is what really matters. So put this guy over here in a bit of an angle. First up is a binding plug for your remote and receiver, which is really not that important. I've got like 30 of them, so it doesn't really matter. There is a little bit of a parts bag. It has a spare spur gear in here. There is also a couple of servo horns, what looks like a spare servo mount, a few other little bits and pieces. I'm not entirely sure what some of these are, but you know, I only just got the truck, so I got to open all this up and find out myself. The manual itself is pretty plain Jane. Looks like it's just an A3 piece of paper folded in half. There's really not much to it. It's all sealed up in this bag. Hopefully they have all the part numbers there that you need in case you need to order some parts, and possibly a couple of diagrams to help you work and maintain the truck. The remote itself is a fairly commonly used remote across a variety of different brands. I know that Armour, Axial, Team Durango have got this type of remote. You've seen it before on the channel. It's actually a decent remote, runs on 4AA's, has a few trimmings and adjustments behind a little flipper door on the back here, which is quite nice. Collapsible antenna, and it has a pretty good feel with the drop down wheel, so no complaints about the remote there. The truck itself, let me bring this guy up to the camera so you guys can have a bit of a better look at the body and the body design. So I believe it only comes in one color, which is this one here at this stage. I don't know of any other colors available for this truck, so this is what you're going to get. The body itself, I have to say, when I was taking the truck out of the box, I'm a little bit concerned about it. I don't know if this is going to hold up all that well. It's quite flimsy. It feels a little bit weak around the edges and down the side here, especially around the edges where you know you're going to get a few hits here and there. The top of it is a little bit more kind of sturdy compared to the rest of the body, but I still don't have high hopes for it. We'll see how we go. I have been proven wrong with some of the bodies that I've seen in the past, so perhaps this one's going to hold up just fine. We'll see. Now, when I was looking at the truck itself, I did find a couple of things that really concern me. One in particular that I'm going to show you right now is this suspension setup, and you can see just how bouncy everything is. Furthermore, one of my shocks is actually leaking, which I didn't notice before until I saw a little bit of a wet patch on my bench. Whoops. So here, on the bottom of this shock here, it's actually leaking. So oil is already starting to drip down all the way down to the bottom of the yay arm, and it's actually leaking on the bench where the truck was sitting. So the shocks and the suspension on this truck need a complete kind of tear down and rebuild. Because that is just ridiculous. The last truck I saw that was like this was my Nitro Circus Basher SCT, and I think even my Sabertooth had similar suspension. I don't quite understand why RCs are shipped out this way. It is supposed to be ready to run, and although technically the RC may run, this is not the way that it's supposed to be. So that's a little bit disappointing. Another thing I kind of a little bit worried about are these tires. They have a fairly closed kind of tread pattern on them. I don't hold much hopes for these gripping in the terrain that I normally run at. Perhaps in your area where you run your truck, these might be okay, but for me, I don't see them being very good. They don't look like kind of a general purpose type of tire for a truck around this price range. I would expect something with a little bit more of an open tread, you know, that will sort of serve in various different terrains. This one here seems to be aimed at a particular application, so I don't know how it's going to go. The foams themselves do feel like they're medium to soft, so it's not too bad. The foams are actually not bad at all, but just the tires themselves feel a bit firm. Not sure how they're going to go, but you know, haven't even plugged the battery into the truck yet, so we'll see how they hold up. Now, as for the rest of the truck, you have aluminium shock towers front and rear. So there's the front one there, and you have the rear one there. There's a couple of adjustment points on the top. So there's actually 3 on the front, and there's 5 on the rear shock tower just here. And you have 2 adjustment points on your A-arms, both front and rear. The links for the camber and toe link are actually solid plastic, so there's no adjustments there, although there are different mounting positions on the shock towers themselves. So you do have a little bit of adjustability, not too much. Front and rear bumpers feel really good. The front bumper doesn't have a lot of flex with it. Doesn't have a lot of flex going inwards, but it does have a bit of flex on the corners here. The rear bumper seems to have a little bit of flex on the back, like so, and yeah, seems like these are going to hold up pretty well. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how this guy's going to go. The center drive shaft is raised up. You can see the rear diff just there. The drive cup is actually kinked up a little bit. Now, I'm not 100% sure why this is, and the front diff is exactly the same. I think it's the way they've designed it. Your aluminium, which I think is called an anchorman for the steering, is running underneath this central drive shaft, and basically what that does is bring the drive shaft up a little bit, which kind of centers your spur gear a little bit more, thus not having to have that cut that you normally have in the chassis on the bottom here. And you can see that it does have an aluminium chassis there as well, which is great. It seems like they've got an entire plastic tub that kind of sits on top of this aluminium chassis, which I don't mind that design at all. I think that's a pretty clever way to do it. So yeah, interesting how they've done that with the front and rear diffs. You do of course have a central diff as well. Now, electronics, you have a 3600 kV 4-pole brushless motor, you have a waterproof 80 amp ESC, and a waterproof steering servo up the front as well. So I'll give you guys a bit of a quick look at what the chassis looks like and the layout of it. One of the really cool things that I like about some of the RCs that I've unboxed recently is that manufacturers are actually paying attention to how the cables are actually routed on the chassis and how you keep cables away from moving parts such as spur gears and so forth. What they've done here, which I think is very clever, is you've got your motor wires that kind of clip through on this little sort of plastic catch here just above your spur gear. So this keeps your cables nice and tidy and away again from any moving parts such as your drive cups and spur gears and so forth. Everything runs down to the ESC, and even the cable for your battery is actually quite short and it's captured here by a little plastic loop. So that is quite a nice little design that I like. Your ESC cables and servo wires run through underneath the drive shaft, and then they feed through into a little channel that kind of runs along the side of the chassis here, and it leads into your waterproof receiver box at the back of the chassis just there. Your battery is held in together with 2 Velcro straps that you can see right there, and of course your power cable, which has like a T connector, which is also known as a Dean's connector, is right there ready for your battery, so you don't have to put your cables over or anything. Really nice and neat design. I really like that. I think it's something that I've seen more and more from a lot of manufacturers, and I hope that a lot more manufacturers out there actually do things like this to keep everything nice and neat and tidy, which also makes makes sense for maintenance wise as well. What else can I tell you? Your shocks, even though I have one that's leaking, are plastic bodied, and they do have threaded bodies on them, so it makes it nice and easy to adjust your spring tension. But as I said, there's not much going on as far as oil. This one here seems to have a little bit more, but yeah, I don't know what happened. I think it's a little bit worrying to have a truck called Cutback, because people can be making jokes like, oh, it's cut back by name and cut back by nature, because somebody forgot to fill these shocks with oil properly. You do have adjustable body posts. Well, let me rephrase that. You have adjustable body supports. The posts themselves, and I'll see if I can bring this up nice and close if the camera would focus for me. The posts themselves are actually bolted onto this kind of support that's here, that's attached to the shock tower, and this is not adjustable, this bit. And then your body support is actually what adjusts the height of the body, but the post stays where it is. Now, if you saw at the start of the video when I brought the truck up to the camera, these posts were actually sticking out of the body quite a fair bit. Now, I know that a lot of people feel quite tempted to just go ahead and snip them off, make everything nice and neat. But if you do change the body over and you find that you need to raise it up a little bit with your new body, well, then you're going to be up for some new posts. At the same time, if you leave them sticking out, they're susceptible to damage when you flip the truck over and so forth. You know, they're going to be scraping on the ground. They might get caught somewhere here and there, and they may also break or bend. So a little bit of a design flaw, I think. It would have been nice if the posts themselves were adjustable in some way, not just the body supports. But you know, that could be just a minor thing. And I guess to me, I'm very big on having proper adjustable body posts. The A-arms are actually quite thick and beefy. They kind of remind me of like a miniature version of the A-arms of my Basher Sabertooth, and they seem to be, you know, pretty good design. It looks like there are provisions here for some sway bars, although the truck did not come with sway bars. Hopefully you can see this on camera. There's a little bit of a slot here for a sway bar kit, both on the front and the rear of the truck, and there's also provisions on the actual A-arms themselves. You can see there's a little loop just here and another one just there, which is designed for your sway bars to mount onto. You have rear dog bones from what I can tell, and you got front CVDs, and these look like they're about maybe 4mm thick shafts, so pretty decent size, I think. Could be about 3.5mm, but they look like they're pretty decent size, and you know, for the price that it is, it's really nice to see metal components like this through the drive line. You know, where a lot of other companies tend to cheap out on it and go with plastic and so forth. I think this is actually going to hold up okay. So first impressions, I'm going to say that, you know, I like the entire chassis layout of this truck. I like the fact that they've mounted it on an aluminium chassis. Underneath, it's all bolted onto this kind of plastic tub on top. I like how they kept all the electrics nice and low, centralized the actual drive line, which is very good. I like the aluminium front and rear shock towers, which actually look to be pretty good aluminium as well. Everything is hex hardware from what I could see. I don't see any Phillips screws anywhere. And I know some of you guys that aren't really big fans of Phillips screws, so this is a good positive for the truck. The plastics feel really good. I'm actually quite impressed with some of the build quality of this. It's unfortunate that it comes with such cheapish sort of shocks, and they're leaking and they don't look like they're properly filled. So before I even run the truck, I'm going to have to tear down these shocks, put some decent oil in them, tune them up, make sure that the truck is well dampened before I even take it for its first run. I'm hoping that the power system, being that it is a 4-pole brushless motor, I'm hoping, and it's powered of course with an 80 amp ESC, hoping that this thing will actually have some decent speed and you know, be able to take 3S all day long. With an ESC that size, I think we should be pretty right, but we shall see. The tires are a little bit of a letdown, and I do have some concerns about the body, but you know, all of these things are fairly common across a lot of RCs, and it doesn't matter if you're paying $2.99 for it or if you're paying you know, $4.99 for them. So we'll see how this guy holds up. But that is you know, my unboxing and first impressions of the Tower Hobbies Cutback. Hopefully it is not cutback by nature. So stay tuned. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. I will have some running videos of this guy very, very soon. Be sure to check out the channel for some of the other videos that I have, as well as the video description for some more information on the truck, as well as a link to my Facebook page, which will take you, keep you a couple of steps ahead of what goes on here on YouTube. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will speak to you next time.